Hello,
Hi. Yeah,
okay.
who's starting? Are you starting? Okay, go ahead. We're so excited, right? We're both so excited to see you and talk to you. So you go ahead, Krista.
All right. Hi, I'm Carissa Doherty. I'm here with my sister Sonia Doherty. Our third naturopath, Dr. Jody Peacock, is not with us, but we are so excited, like over top of our shelf, excited for Marisol Teijeiro. She is the CEO of Queen of Thrones, and she is a proud advocate of clean beauty products and clean clothes. She's very proud to be a naturopathic doctor and advocates for good naturopathic medicine all over the world. And she really wants to help maintain our profession. So,
Oh yeah.
without further ado, Marisol, what are you doing these days?
Well, I mean, I think you hit it on the ball when you said like maintain our profession. Like, I came to a point in my clinical practice, and we can get into the whole history of like how I met and met castor oil because it's actually quite a very like
Mm.
it's very woo woo for those of you who are granola out there. You'll love it. For those of
We
you
love
who
it.
might not be that granola, it might be a little bit more than you could take, but it just goes to show you like that old adage that Steve Jobs always said, like you can't connect the dots looking forward, but you can connect the dots looking backwards. And so my thing is, I'm the CEO of Queen of the Throne, so I promote around the world the use of castor oil and castor oil packs and educating it about it. I have my second book about to come to launch in the next few months, all about like castor oil for clean beauty and how to use it for like skin, hair, nails, face, improving the appearance of everything from brows to lashes. And yeah, it's just been a super journey where I've, taken one of the oldest eclectic practices in our profession that was really being lost. I felt that no one was really doing castor packs because they were messy. And I mean, I was of the same bandwagon. I was told to do them for like, I don't know, I think a decade before we went to naturopathic college. And I never did them because they were messy. I thought they were woo woo and crazy. And I thought crazy people were smoking something weird. Oil on a pack and like a body and like for fun. And I'm like, that just does not make sense to me. But yeah, then I ended up becoming a convert and just, wanting the world to know about it because throughout my journeys, I've had so many great experiences that have really like highlighted the power of energetic medicine, homeopathic medicine, even the power of touch and physical medicine, meditation, calmness, like creating a Zen life. And so those are really the things that I'm all about all about showing and sharing with the world. And then you can't ever forget about the aspect of toxins, right? Because the world that we live in these days, with whether it's emotional toxins or physical toxins that we're bombarded with, all those just really kibosh and don't allow the things that we want to work, right? So it's that balance that I really love to promote and teach, and I've just been talking about them forever.
And who else is going to advocate against toxins other than naturopathic doctors, right? Like
That's it.
it's our bread and butter. That's kind of we would talk about that until we make you cry. But
Yeah. And it's
yeah.
it's just amazing to the pathways that people go down their lives because like at this point in time, because of what I've done, when I was in clinical practice, so my history goes, I started in the natural health industry back in 2003, actually. When did you girls graduate?
I
2000,
graduated 2003.
Yes.
2002.
Yeah.
Well, I knew
Yeah.
you guys because I was
You
your
were,
rep. Yeah,
I
I was your rep
know, I
back in the day,
know.
right?
You
Yeah.
were,
Yeah.
So funny, but I was in that time in Ottawa and I started working for a homeopathic pharmaceutical laboratory called Heal. And so I started off as a rep.
That's it. We were trying to figure out. We were like, where did we
Yeah.
know
I was
you
like, where?
first?
Heal.
Yes.
Yeah,
Heal.
and
Yeah.
then so I didn't really know anything about the industry. When I was a child, I had wanted to be a doctor, but I had was suffering from what was diagnosed as asthma, but the doctor had never actually even like done like he didn't even listen to my lungs, didn't do a breath test, nothing like an oxygenation test at all, and started diagnosing me and prescribing me prednisones and all these drugs, salbutamol that I really didn't need. And what ended up the sequelae of that was that I like blew up as a kid and I was teased. And but really the deal was I wasn't asthmatic, I was anxious. And so I never got root cause care. And so because of that, I was dealing in my youth, my teenagers, my early 20s, all the time I was working with Heal, I was dealing with like some pretty severe anxiety. And I was, loving what I was doing, going to see naturopathic doctors like yourselves, and just like so like, wow, like what is this profession? Like, ooh, like I'm like, this is so cool. Like they get to number one, pick what they want to work with in anything and then apply it. And really they're helping people because I would be sitting in your offices with your patients. And I'd be asking them like, how's it going? What's your child here for? And like, and they'd be telling me, oh, Sonia, Carissa's just helping me so much. And it was just so beautiful. It was just it just made my heart really expand. And I was like, I want more of that. And so I remember walking into one of my health food stores one day, and I look at the left of me, and then I suddenly see like this halo effect, and I look at the bottom of the shelf, and these dark brown glass bottles are dusty. The bottom of the shelf, I look at it, and it's castor oil. And I really didn't know much in the natural health industry at that point, minus supplements and what I was learning from Heal. But this intrigued me. It kind of pulled on my heartstrings. I went to go ask the health food store staff what it was, castor oil, and she's like, oh my God, it does this and this and this for beauty, and then the castor oil pack, and she's like, it's so amazing for stress and anxiety and IBS, all these things. And I'm like, oh, and that's when I was like, okay, this is so woo-woo. I'm like, not going down that road. But as life would have it, I kept on visiting naturopathic doctors' offices, chiropractic doctors' offices. And, I'm sure I was at your office and you're giving them the castor oil and the flannel. And, so many of our other, professionals in our profession in Ontario. And Michael, was it Raman? He would do the same thing too. He would be giving it. And it was like, okay, like everyone's doing this castor oil pack. It's odd, but I still never took action. And then with my professional career, I loved it. And I had some really good mentors in terms of naturopathic doctors who were my clients, who were just impressed with my level of knowledge and just, really kept on seeding and telling me, you should really go be the doctor, not just a sales rep. And I'm like, I'm ready for that. I love that. And it was also a personal need because I was kind of following with certain doctors and not really getting the benefit that I thought I could get. And I figured, I wanted to control things and take charge. And if I go to school, I'll figure out what I need and then I'll fix it up for me and then I'll fix it up for everybody else, which is, how many naturopathic doctors' stories. Yeah. Exactly. So the only thing is I get to school and I'm more stressed than ever because, as you know, back in the day, like I'm a 2010 graduate, but back in the day, they did not have it structured in by any means healthy. And our building was completely toxic, like full of mold, and had I remember in my last final year, they put this curtain, which was huge in the big room, and it was filled with PVCs, and you can literally smell the polyvinyl chloride like when you walked into the building. It was just like, I'm like, how do these people do this? It's so not in line with who we are as a profession. Like, get an organic cotton curtain is what you should be getting, Anyways, but I just ended up getting really, really sick because of all those factors, and stress, mold, plastics, all of which I'm sensitive to. And what was frustrating to me was I was like, shit, I'm doing everything I should be doing now. I'm taking the supplements, I'm doing the exercises, I'm going for colon therapy, I'm doing enemas, I'm eating well, I'm doing all the naturopathic prescription book, except the energetic stuff like castor oil. You know what I mean? I was like, oh, but I'm bedridden, can't finish on my last final year. So I'm like, okay, I'm desperate. I will do anything. There's nothing that will hurt. So I did the castor oil pack. I created my first little pack. I put a trade show organic bag, a piece of cotton flannel. Already, I didn't love the idea of how people were doing castor oil packs with any old cloth and wrapping around saran wrap. I was like, that can't be healthy, right? Yeah. And so I ended up making it, putting it on my body, and that moment literally transformed my life. I regained hope in our profession. I regained hope in myself and my ability to heal. And I just regained hope that there was always an easier way to do things. And so then I ran back to naturopathic college within 3 months when I was supposed to be off for about 9 or a year. So it was pretty intense. And I was trying to just get every single person to do castor oil packs, and no one would do them. So I knew I had to create a company. So that was my first company. It failed. But then, 5 years later,
I bought that company. I bought it.
You bought all the
Totally. I totally bought it. I totally bought it.
So you guys were my clients. Yeah.
Yeah, totally. Yep.
Happened in that, and what I learned later on was that I went to retail first and practitioner, and it's very, very hard to have a business in that way because of margins and the cost of the raw cost of the product was pretty challenging. But failures are very good in life. Failures truly are what spur innovation and invention and creation and evolution. And without that, I wouldn't have Queen of the Thrones, which really just surpassed, yeah, EcoCoal, which is my old company, the Oja. It just surpassed it like, you know, like lightning bolts, because I just went and I got a coach. I trained myself in e-commerce in the US. I knew that the US was a huge market, and I went there first. And ultimately, I wanted to reach the most amount of people. And I knew that Canada was just a small population. Right? It's only 36 million. Like I wanted 360 million. So that was what ended up happening. And to this day, like I haven't looked back. About 3 or 4 years ago, I ended up closing down my clinic. And the biggest reason was, number one, because there was stuff happening with the board, which I just didn't want to continue dealing with. And then number two was just I had to make a decision in terms of spreading myself too thin. You know, like I'm either in clinic or I'm online, and life situations happen. My mom died. My dad had a stroke. He was in hospital. I was caring for my elderly uncle in like South America. So I needed something by distance. And I really wasn't feeling comfortable about not doing the in-person practice. So, you know, I'm okay with it, but I really like, if I were to do practice again ever, I would want in person, because there's something about that magical moment with the patient, which is really truly probably what I really miss the most about clinical practice. But I haven't looked back and I love it. I'm very happy. Very happy.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Well, I definitely used and still continue to use castor oil in my practice more because of you and your passion. Like we used it, but I think because you have always been so passionate about it, it's something that I use all the time. And that was you for sure. Because as a naturopathic doctor, you sort of get into different things, and then you forget sometimes about these, what I call foundational basics. And I think, Dr. Dick Tom would agree, and Dr. Verna Hunt and Lois Hare.
Yeah.
It's so interesting and so amazing to have the opportunity to chat with you and other colleagues who now, I guess, what do they call us? Legacy. What does that even mean?
I know.
Better than old fogey.
True. But if you want to know,
elder.
Yeah, I'll take legacy over elder. Yeah.
Yeah, I'll take legacy too. It's funny because I look at like Dr. Dick Tom's like BTGs, right? Basic
totally basic treatment guidelines.
Yeah, guidelines. And I'm like, man, like I came from a product background, and I am a product person. It's really, really interesting. I think we just have these like developmental ways about our brain. Like I was my entire life as a kid, even too, I was like creating products, and I'd watch my dad like break down radios and put them back together, and I'd be like creating products around it, and like a strap for this and a strap for that. Like it was always like make a product. And what I look at when I look at that list is I'm like, dang, there are so many products that people could make, and if literally a naturopath would just grab onto those, create a cool ass protocol around it, and just market it the right way, like we could be having a lot more millionaire naturopathic doctors rather than naturopathic doctors who are suffering for their salaries and like really on a time hour per hour money, like negotiation, right? Transactional approach versus transformational. Because I feel now in my life, I get to really do transformational from a grand scale. Like our number one testimonial on Queen of the Thrones is a game changer, like for castor oil packs, like you don't see that on supplements, you don't see that on other things, but castor oil packs, there's like everything else, right?
Can I just say I had an interview with Dick Tom, and I did it myself. Sonia was busy, and so I talked about money.
We had double booked. I had JJ Dubois, who was amazing, and JJ and I, we were office mates. So when he's a friend, so I took his interview because I really wanted to interview him, and so Krista had Dick Tom. And what did you ask? The legendary legacy Dick
money.
Tom.
I asked how the new grads, how we could make money as a profession, because I know he loves that. Like I know he does love to make sure our profession is relevant and in the working world, success. And what his advice was, make money as you're doing one-to-one, and you have to do one-to-one care, but you cannot afford to do one-to-one care without another income strategy while you're working. And so I think he's a smart guy, right? He's been practicing for 50 years and he's like, I retired and I came back because I was bored. But he wants to make sure that we as naturopathic doctors have an impact on our communities. He's like, financially, then we have to do something that he's like, he didn't have to do it in his age. So he was like, put out a shingle, start working. Yeah. We have to have like a secondary income while we're working to make do, which is, so I'm listening, but I also think like we all need to listen.
Yeah.
What you're saying.
And it's purposeful too, because, like, for an example, like now, like here we go. There is such like I'm in an abundance framework right now, where before I was in scarcity, definitely. Even within my clinical practice, I felt like I was living in scarcity, and it was very difficult to actually, like, after overhead and everything, to actually be able to, like, come out with a really decent salary if I wasn't like working myself to the bone and not having any life balance. And don't get me wrong, I'm definitely not a 9 to 5er. I don't think I can never be, because I think I'm just so passionate about what I do. Like at night, I'll watch more videos and I'll be like, ooh, like meditation with Joe Dispenza or whatever kick I'm on. I'm like, let's learn this and grow from it. Like, I don't, this, like when people are like work-life balance, I go, well, my work is my vocation. It's ultimately what I love to do. And I was really clear on that when I moved forward. And what I realized is that if I am to move the profession and maintain and really at the end of the day work against the legislation that is really trying to handcuff us, because it's not only in Canada, it's in the USA, it's in England, it's in Australia. Like I've seen it in all the Commonwealth countries, because we're moving our products, like we're already in the UK and we're soon to be in Australia. But you just see where the restrictions are, and the only way that any of those restrictions on our basic therapeutic guidelines are going to be lifted, is really going to be if we can get research done. And someone that and research takes money. Not only do we need money to have good life balance and a good quality of life for ourselves, but if we want to improve the profession and really like get our profession on the map, like we've got to put the money where the pedal is. And like, so what I'm looking at doing, even though lots of people comment to me, oh, well, if you do research on castor oil and castor oil packs, because obviously I was the first brand to bring it out. But now I'm not, because now, well, I just had a lot of copycats, like a lot of copycats. Like on Amazon, there's almost like 2,000 listings. Most of them are bad material, like they're made with bamboo, which is actually quite toxic in my material. Yes, like this is one we have to talk about, is why bamboo is so toxic. It's as strong as steel in construction, the cellulose fibers for them, and it's an eco-friendly material. And for them to break it down, they have to use like 20 some odd caustic chemicals. And because it is eco-friendly, they don't use that much water in the cleaning process. And then they typically blend it with rayon fibers. Like our world, and this is why I'm talking about materials and like clothing and beauty, like we are just being intoxicated with things we don't even realize. Microplastics come off more into and absorb more into our skin through wearing our clothing that are blended with plastics or plastic, versus them coming out in the washing machine. So it's like a big thing. And I found this out, like, it's funny, like because of the castor oil pack, I was trying to research like what was the best like material, cotton, wool, bamboo. Bamboo's a lot cheaper. So in terms of like price point, but I don't go for cheap. I go for the best, and I go for the quality, and I'm always making sure that because I know the power of castor oil and the fact of it being a carrier oil. Even like I guess legacy companies in castor oil, like Heritage and those, they bottle some of their bottles in plastic and glass. Like, why would you bottle it in plastic when
It's a
castor oil
carrier. Yeah.
should never be in plastic? And that makes me also think, like, what's your supply chain like? Are you bringing it over in plastic? Probably. Like, I don't know that for a fact, but like if you are okay to put it there, it's highly unlikely that you're watching the supply chain. So I've gotten to learn a lot about supply chain. I've gotten to learn a lot about materials and clean beauty, what's marketed to women in terms of toxicity. And so really what I want to teach is how to do those beautiful castor oil packs like the right way, cleanly, and then how to get rid of like your cosmetics, your self-care, like your beauty routines that are too many chemicals, not needed, and even clothing. Like, let's get rid of it. Like, we don't need this toxic 200, I'm going on a woo,
I like it.
265 million tons of plastic are made by the DuPont company every year for clothing.
Oh,
What do
wow.
you think is one of the bigger environmental pollutants?
Plastic.
Yeah.
It's crazy. It's not
And we
water.
don't track it. We don't even know where it is.
No one talks about it, right? It just goes to landfills, and it's just no one talks about it. And like, it's just, yeah. So Queen of the Thrones really grew me and evolved me and allowed me to just learn things from a different perspective. And I think, you just gotta not be afraid to try something. And while you're doing your main hustle, if that's your clinical practice initially, to like go full circle, like you've got to be educated. And this, I think I've done throughout my entire professional career, no matter what I was doing. So when I was at Heal, I was learning about what naturopathic medicine is because I wanted to be the best rep. So I was like, what do naturopathic doctors do? What are all their modalities? How would it work better with them? So I was always like, I wasn't just like, the company wasn't just telling me what they did and me spewing it. It was me learning it and integrating it and coming to see you guys and talking to you about it and seeing how you used it and then hearing what this doctor did and, you know, like really trying to learn and grow at every aspect of the game. And then when I was in clinical practice, for me, what it was I was like, how do I get my message across to millions? How do I do that? You know, like I'm teaching something foundational in clinical practice. How do I do that? So I started, and I highly recommend this. Like I started looking into Brendan Burchard. So Brendan Burchard is like, he's kind of like along the lines friends with like Tony Robbins, but what he does is like monetize your message, like learn how to like promote yourself. He's got a really, if you Google any of his books, he's got one that's called, I believe it's Monetize Your Message. And it's all about like how do you actually make money in a small little income by, you know, teaching the world the things that you love. Right. Which I was like, okay, this is cool because that could be like a source of income and it could help like whatever, pay extra bills or, you know, maybe I can get that extra staff so I don't have to be at clinic till 1 o'clock in the morning. Like, you know what I mean? It was just initially it was like that. It was just to optimize. And then because I had the castor oil pack idea, I wanted to re-engage it. I wanted it for myself and also for my patients. I built those and I actually started online in the US teaching about my message, which was how to poop better. And so, but then what people really wanted from me really wasn't that. They wanted the castor oil pack. So then I'm like, okay, if this is what you would love, this is what I'll do for you. And I had no problem either way because it was it was like such a staple in my, like, I wouldn't see a patient if they wouldn't do castor oil packs. Like, I just wouldn't because I'm just like, I'm going to be having to give you so many supplements. It's going to be insane and you're probably not going to absorb them very well. And your nervous system is going to be completely off whack and you're going to keep coming back in and complaining. And I don't like that. I like people who will do things and not complain and because it gets better if you do it. And for me, it was that like, because I realized like in my own health, like I've never been a person who just sits on the sidelines, except I just need the right convincing. And that's what it was for the castor oil pack. I wasn't convinced until I did it. And then I realized it's really something experimental. You really won't know what the castor oil pack feels like or is like unless you do it. And when I launched the company, what shocked me is how many naturopaths hadn't done one. I was like, what? Like, but you know, you got to have and then when that side hustle becomes your main hustle, then you got to make a decision for quality of life, right? And which direction do you want to go into? You know?
I think we don't have choice. Like, you know, if you don't have choice, then you feel that's more stressful. Like it is more stressful when you don't have a choice. If there's too much to do, but it's all your choice, that is less stressful.
It's so true. Yeah.
Yeah.
That is so true. That's how I feel every day. There's so much to do, but I'm like, it's good. I chose.
Yeah, it's so true. Like when we started Exceptional ND, it's like we take on project after project. And then, you know, Jody Peacock wanted to do a conference. So last year we did one conference. This year we're doing 2 conferences. Then we added intensives and we added these interviews. But I think for us, it's all about making sure that naturopathic doctors and naturopathic students know the power of naturopathic medicine, right? And not have that influenced by some of these, you know, I worry about this over focus on, you know, evidence-based medicine. To your point earlier, it's like, it's really expensive to have evidence-based medicine. And that's actually only, you know, that group of people you studied. So unless you're seeing someone in that study, then you're not doing individualized medicine, right? So it should be, as Dr. Afsoon Khalili says, who's a great supervisor at the clinic, it's like evidence informed, right? Use it as a jumping off point, but treat the person in front of you. So I love to ask this question, but I'm curious, what would you tell young naturopathic doctors, new grads, students, interns about, you know, the power of our medicine and how to like really be the best doctor you can be and, you know, shut out some of that noise that can throw you off track?
I honestly, like looking back now, what I would say, even to like a younger version of myself, because I was so steeped in that science based, because I had something to prove to the outside world. Like, no, we're legit. You know, I always wanted to prove it. Like, but now I have a knowing, and the reason I have the knowing is because what I've realized over time is like, and I actually literally just got this download at like a Joe Dispenza like week-long intensive meditation conference, because talk about a guy who's doing like amazing research in terms of meditation. But this is what came down to me really, really strongly, is that like everyone wants a divine intervention in their health. Everybody, right? They're coming to naturopathic doctors typically like like for me, it was a lot of cancer patients and autoimmunity. So they've seen everybody. They're through the ringer. They're halfway through their cancer care treatment. They're scared to death. You know, like it's just it's not good for them. And they are literally looking for a divine intervention. And for some reason, they find themselves at the door of the naturopathic doctor, looking for a divine intervention. But here's the thing: is that everyone is looking to treat from a physical perspective, but they're forgetting that we're not just a physical being. We're also an energetic soul. And like we've got to bring back in that body, mind, like soul and science, you know, like to quote like our store in our naturopathic college, you know, body, mind, science. But it's not just the mind, it's not just the rational mind, it's not just the body, it's the energetics of our soul. And if you look at it, it's really when if you want divine intervention, then you've got to be ready to touch and connect with the divine. And the only way that we touch and connect with the divine is with energetic medicine like homeopathy, like castor oil packs, because castor oil packs really, at the end of the day, isn't even a physical modality. What it is it's grounding, it's realigning for the energetic centers. Like the first time I put one on, it felt like the sky opened up and angels began to sing like out of the Bible. Like I was like, what is this? And up until that point in time, I had never been able to meditate. I could never calm myself enough to just be there and be calm and be chill, because I just grew up in a lot of trauma and a lot of anxiety, immigrant mentality, scarcity, everything, danger, 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 right? So I was my whole life waking up in trauma and like attack. Like it's crazy to see the difference of who I am now and who I was then. And it literally comes down to now I know how to connect with my divine self. And if you're a naturopathic doctor wanting to be the most amazing patient like relationships and help your patients, it's literally about sharing with them that they've got to address the spiritual, the non-seen side of their souls, and then supplement and support with all the physical modalities. Because the problem that I see across the profession is that they're just going towards physical modalities and that's it. And that everything else, because it's not, you know, 100,000,000% evidence-based, like homeopathy, even herbal medicine, tinctures, like if it's not like a vitamin C or vitamin E, like people don't want to use it as much, right? So it's like, to me, it's like just remember, like there is an energy that enlivens us and lives us and breathes through us and is what creates us and creates our world. And it's the only place that if we really want a divine intervention, we've got to become the creator of our world. And I know that, and I never would see myself saying this woo-woo stuff ever before. But, you know, I've followed with enough now spiritual teachers, you know, Joe Dispenza, Mary Morrissey, like, and I've been in intensive programs with them. And honestly, those things have been what have like changing my mindset, understanding who I am from a spiritual perspective. And this doesn't have to do with religion or anything like that. It's literally just the laws of the universe and literally functioning from that aspect rather than scarcity and lack and the stress of the world. So instead of going from a place of instinct in my third chakra, I'm coming from a place of intuition from my heart all the time now. So it's very different. And I think that is the key. You cannot disregard those modalities, because otherwise you're treating on one side and you're no different than a pharmaceutical drug. Like a vitamin C is no different than a pharmaceutical drug if you treat it that way. You know? Yeah.
Thank
Well, it's
you.
interesting because we were
Yeah.
sitting with Dr. Tiffany Weiss at the OAND, the NFH dinner, and
Oh,
she
yeah.
was talking about the energetics of the herbs, right? And
Yeah, she's like
she
very
works
data
with
Yeah.
And so
Yeah.
I was just like, I want to hear and learn more about that. And I think John Redden has a course we're going to try to take. I'm taking the CE, what is it? I have it right here because I'm dyslexic. So it's the
CED?
CEDH training course with, I think Boiron is associated, but it's a whole homeopathy course that's,
Awesome.
yeah. So it's true. Like the longer you're in practice, the more you realize how important those pieces are. And I have tons and tons of families who are, you know, who are religious, they're people of faith, and honestly, it helps them in their practice. And so, you know, we'll add our prayers to the protocols, and it's you know, whether it's prayer or meditation or spiritual or like, and Dr. Chris Bajornal said, you know, like your heart is where, you know, God and the spirit of God and our spirit, like all this is part of holistic medicine. Like if you're going to treat a whole person. Yeah, Chris,
Yeah.
Dr. Chris made Krista cry on her interviews. You should watch it. It's very funny. And then she sent her Kleenex, which was the best.
Oh, that's so cute. Well,
It was.
it is so true. These parts are so forgotten. And, but like I was really blessed. Like I said, dots, you can't look back you can't look forward to the dots, but going back, like when I started with Heal, they sent me to Germany a lot. So I learned a lot of like mistletoe therapy and what the plant looked like and doctrine of signatures. And so, and even when I came to love and become passionate about castor oil, I realized the same thing too. There's so many messages within the plant itself, and we just can't look at it like an indication. There's so much more to it. It isn't just like treats dry cough, like it's not that. Like there is so much magic to it. And medicines, like as in medicines by pharmaceutical drugs, I'm saying, like they don't have that aspect because they're devoid of soul. They're completely devoid of soul and devoid of the energetics that actually is what at the end of the day moves people. Now, still need diet, still need supplements, still need, good thoughts, still need all of those things, but you got to start on the basics, like to me, like and if anything, I have to say, like, even if you become a naturopathic doctor and then you're not practicing later on, which is like now my position in my place, I don't look at it as a bad thing. Like I look at it as a wow thing. Like what a blessing I was. Oh, I have a little friend here. What a blessing it was. She's my new puppy. Anyway, I should probably introduce her. This is Luna. What a blessing to have gone through the school and the program and just to see and just all the journeys that I've had along the way to be able to like just learn from the greats, because I feel like my encounters with you is always learning from the greats. And again, like all the people we spoke about, like Denani and all the other classical doctors, Michael Rahman, Alan Price, like all those legacy doctors, to have the time, Kara Gignac too, like to be in their offices, and just being with them and like following them, and like I just feel so blessed. And honestly, like what I saw across the line too, and I could add this in, is I saw that the very best doctors were also the very best business people, because and the best salespeople. And because at the end of the day, a doctor also is selling a patient on one of the hardest things you're going to sell anyone in life, which is like diet changes is number one. And then to look beyond just the physical things, right? So those that could understand the journey of selling, of like, approaching a patient, finding out about them, like the entire soap form is, in my opinion, coming from a sales background, a complete like subjective, objective assessment plan. It's exactly what you do in sales. You talk to them about what's going on with them and what are their needs and what could you bring to the table. And then in the objective, you start looking at them and saying, well, hey, but from my experience, I potentially could see maybe this could work or that could work. And then you do an assessment and you go, well, overall, this is what it looks like. And then this would be the plan, buy this kind of thing, to do this and this and that. And so I realized that early on that the soap form was also like a seller's journey, a journey on how to sell if you took it the right way. And I think that mindset shift for many new naturopathic doctors has got to change. You have to sell them. You've got to learn to sell your patients, because if they cannot be sold, they will not be better. They won't feel better because they won't do anything in the directions of their dreams. So you need to learn how to put their dream in front of them and position it that, the solution to get them to that dream state is literally to do and, get rid of gluten, get rid of dairy, whatever you got to do for them, go sober, whatever it is in that case in time for that patient, right? So becoming a really good salesperson.
I love that. We talk about it a lot because our dad owned restaurants growing up. And so we worked in the service industry. I bartend, I served through undergrad and postgrad, and it's the sale, and teachers do it. Good teachers sell, right? They sell their students on learning. So everyone who excels in their profession has an element of this passionate approach to exactly what you said. I love that. That was
selling. Yeah. I'm actually now, that's kind of a project I've been working on the side, like, because one of the things I love the most in clinical practice was definitely like the soap form, because again, that correlation to the sales, but then also physical exam. Like I was a master physical examiner. Like I love physical. I would do it with every patient every year for an hour. And just like I pulled so much data and stuff from physical exam, like just like in terms of seeing like microbiome, like there's a white coat in the inside of the tympanic membrane, like in patients, and it almost looks like scar tissue. It's pretty predominant in patients who have like dysbiosis. And like it was just cool. Like I just started correlating all of these things in physical exam, and like I loved physical exam. So those are the thing. I feel too, and then this is a third thing I would say to students. I know I was only supposed to give one, but I had three.
No, I love it.
Go with your intuition. I early on, that same halo that happened to me with the castor oil bottle early on in 2002, 2003 with Heal, that halo would happen to me with certain patients in clinical practice. And it was just the most random thing. And I would literally like get downloads, and their plans kind of weren't totally what I would do normally. Like it wasn't, because at one point in time you get a little cookie cutter. You know what I mean? Like you're like, okay, this works for this works for that, this works for this. But I would have these moments with the patient would have a halo around it. Again, I'd almost get into like a trance with them when I'm listening to them. And then my fingers would just type, and I'd be like, okay, this is kind of in line of what I would do, but I wouldn't have thought to do that. And I would, okay, and I'm like, let's try it. And those are patients who I had, like some were very chronic disease. Like one was a liver cancer patient who literally like pretty much reversed his liver cancer and had like completely his liver was overtaken, reversed it, and had another 8 years of life. But he's then stopped naturopathic medicine, and then unfortunately it came back. But like still to get another 8 years of life when his prognosis was like 3 months, and it was one of those halo situations. So me going with my intuition, I realized was massive. Massive, and not instinct, not from fear, not that's a huge differentiator. Don't try in general in life to not do things based on instinct because of fear of not having enough, fear of scarcity, fear of money, fear of not being judged properly. Just do it with total intuition and love in your heart. And then I think even if it turns out bad, there's still always lots of goodness in it. Lots.
Sometimes it's not your lesson, right? Like sometimes you deliver something that is not your lesson, which is, awkward, very awkward for everyone.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's also our job.
Yeah, it's our job.
Yeah, to sit in that awkward space with the patient and be like,
yeah,
oh, this is so awkward.
I know.
Uncomfortable.
I know. When that patient came back after 7 years, I was like, oh, and he's like, oh, I've got to do it all over again. I go, yeah. The thing is, obviously, sometimes it might be a little harder the second time around. He didn't do as good the second time around, but I mean, because then his body was already, it had overtaken a little bit too much because he wasn't following up, right? Which, is a thing. I guess, and that goes back to the selling process: is follow up, follow up, follow up. Patients, get them back in, and just follow up.
Yeah.
Don't be afraid to call,
Such an important practice management pearl, like follow up with your patients, right? They have to follow up because of B12, because I see them, most of the kids that I treat are on the autism spectrum. And it's like, I get to help watch them get better instead of losing them, seeing them 2-3 years later and they haven't progressed, right? It's huge.
Yeah, I got to a point so busy in my practice where I didn't have time to follow up. And that was the part that I missed too, which was even just like a small little email out to a patient, or especially if they're for a newbie in practice, like don't disregard it, calling them like a week and a half later. Like the quality of care that you take within those initial seeds of your practice, afterwards you can create systems that, you can do more follow up via like I have, and she actually still works with me. My front desk office manager is like what has been on my team in Queen of the Thrones forever now. So we just like moved her over, and she's so Joey. And, she used to basically be my voice to the people, to the patients, and just be like, hey, Dr. Marisol was just thinking about you. And she just wanted to say, how you doing? Reach out. Like, so you can then later on have systems for that. Or she'd call and she'd just say, Dr. Marisol's just thinking about you. And she just wanted to touch base, and I'm going to relate the message to her. And patients would just be like really happy about that. Right. And it makes sense because you want your practitioner to be engaged in your game,
You want them to care, or you want them to know that they care. Yeah. We have one staff that, because we're in the weeds, we have one staff that's like, I did this at a clinic, we have to do it here because it matters. And we're like, I don't have time. She's like, no, I'm going to do it. I'm like, okay, okay. It's amazing.
Yeah. Perfect.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Yeah.
It really matters, right? And those are the patients that do better. When someone's in your courtyard, cheering you on, like that's all we need as humans. Like I wouldn't have become a naturopathic doctor had Alan Price said to me like straight out, he's like, you know so much. Why don't you go and be the doctor? Go be the doctor. And I'm like, I'm like, really? You think I have time? And he's like, yes, go.
Well, thank God for Alan Price. That's
I know. I called him and I was like, I called my heel. I don't think heel loved him too much, but I'm like, I'm gonna go become a naturopathic doctor. They're like, no, because I was the best salesperson, right?
I still have books you gave me from your car. You're like, I brought these back from Germany. Do you want them? I'm like, yeah, no, I want them. I still have them here. Thank you.
Because that's what I was. I was a messenger, and I feel like a naturopathic doctor is that too. I was a messenger for heal to the doctors who were the audience, right? And as naturopathic doctors, we are messengers literally of the divine and the physical body, and we are giving that message over to patients and allowing them to, from there, springboard into the best version of themselves that they can be.
And their family and their community, like they're also like, yeah, then yeah, their kids and yeah.
It's such
This has been lovely. Thank you. I always we haven't spoken in a couple of years, and it's always lovely to touch base with you. And so I really appreciate your time. Thank you.
Same, Carissa. Like I've always been so impressed with what you two do, like with your work in the spectrum area and such. Like just keep going. And I love that you're spearheading this movement forward of maintaining the beautiful aspect of our practice. I'm so in love with our vocation. I think it is the very best vocation in the world. And now it's just it's up to us to continue to elevate it, right? And keep it on the map.
Yeah, and not lose that important knowledge from from everyone and all their experiences, right? The collective knowledge of our medicine is absolutely amazing, incredible.
So I might call you for all those clinical pours you have. So I might call you later. Be like, can we do a session on?
I'm gonna go soak myself in castor oil.
Yes, I know. I was like,
honestly, now I'm just like so people want to follow me to follow me at at Be Well Queen on Instagram or TikTok and YouTube, Be Well Queen. So that's like my own personal Instagram. And so there you really see my life journey, my stories. Exactly. My stories are all about like, I'm often traveling, spreading the message. I'm talking with other practitioners, how they use castor oil and how they love it. And then me taking like shameless videos of me in my underwear, doing my packs and doing the castor oil all over me. But it's fun. I love it. And it's who I am. Like I once got commented negatively, and that's one, if I could close that up, don't let the naysayers stop you, because I got comments negatively that, oh, a doctor doesn't go in their underwear, the doctor, I mean, but ultimately I'm a human being. I am a human being with a spiritual side of me, and it is what I do in my life. And I want people to know, right? It's like,
but your posts remind me to keep talking about it. Like, we do live in an electronic age, and I try not to doom scroll, but I do scroll. I love pictures. And so when I see you, then I'm like, right, castor oil. So I do appreciate you. I do. Yes. Yeah.
My daughter follows you, and she puts castor oil all over everything all the time. She puts it in her hair, soaks her body. So she loves you.
And my wrinkles are so much better with castor oil. I gotta
honestly say. Oh, and if I could just drop a door dropper bomb on a quick recipe at the end of, okay. Wash your face with castor oil. It is the most amazing thing ever. So all you do is take a steamed cloth. I do this every night. I don't do it in the daytime, because in the daytime I just want a light, I just take a shower normally with like Castile soap, and then I'm out, and then I just put like normal oil. But at night, to remove my eye makeup, I do a steamed hot water cloth. I put about a dime to a quarter size amount of castor oil in my palm. I mix my palms together like so, and then I put it all on my face, extra around my eyes, and I take that same steamed cloth and wipe it off. Your face feels, do you remember your baby's bottoms? Like that. Like it is insanity. And for, as we age, like gracefully, like I think that's a really great way to mediate like the appearance of wrinkles and fine lines and dark circles under the eyes. And I think it just keeps everything like feels a lot tighter. Like it promotes tightness in the skin, right? So, and eyebrow growth, eyelash growth. Like I can't believe it. Like I used to have a history of thyroid problems, and like, look at how thick my eyebrows are. It's insane. Like, and I'm like leaving them because I'm just on an experiment to see how thick they can go at like 46, right? So yeah, and then I follow it up with castor oil all around my eyebrows, eyelashes, and I go to sleep with basically a castor oil pack on my eyes. It's like a beauty little routine that's so awesome. It's like my favorite thing to do.
I love it.
Amazing. Thanks for sharing that.
I'm gonna make my kid do it because they're obsessed with crappy products. So thank you. Thank you.
Honestly, that's the thing is I'm all that aura and the drunken elephant and all of these, and the kids are so like I mean, I get it. It's really good marketing. I would be buying sparkly bottles too. But I think that's what we're trying to do with like crystal quartz rollers and like make things a little bit more appealing and more sexy for the younger generation. So it not only appeals to the like women like us, you know, over 35 who are easily going to do the more natural, better thing for them because they're aware, you know, but the young generation too. So here we go. Let's change things, ladies.
Thank
Let's
you,
do it.
Marisol. We appreciate your effort. Have a good day.
I appreciate you guys too. Bye.
Thank
Bye.
you. Bye.